Hey there, Wargamers, and welcome back to another Wargames Delivered video. In this video, we're going to be painting Sorrows from the game Malifaux. Let's get started. Alright, so I know on the site recently we've been doing a lot of A Song of Ice and Fire miniatures, and now we're going to switch over to Malifaux, which is a little bit different. It's a fantasy skirmish, sort of Western-style game. So this is the Neverborn faction, and there's about 6 or 7 factions in this game, possibly 8, and they all kind of work differently, have different abilities and stuff, and there's sub-factions within those factions, and this is part of the Woe sub-faction. These guys are called Sorrows, so we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of speed paint blending on these guys, and just some different quick techniques to get these guys on the field. And with this step, we're going to use a little bit of speed paint medium here, and we're also going to get the Gravelord Gray that we're going to use later on the palette as well. We're also going to do a little blending between certain areas on this model. So we're going to start out with the orc skin and speed paint medium here. Get a nice, very thin down version of the orc skin because we don't want it super bright. Just want a nice kind of magic kind of green coming off of these guys. So we'll go ahead and start applying this here, sort of pushing the paint around until we've got the coverage that we're looking for. And it's okay if some of the paint pools in the recesses. Just try to avoid having it pool on those flat areas and the surfaces you don't want it to. And for this step, you'll want to bring your paint all the way up to about the middle of the model here, and then we'll start to blend some of the Gravelord Gray in here a little bit later on. And we'll do the same thing on the hands after we do the initial blend on the middle. And as you can kind of tell, I'm just slowly dragging more and more paint here towards the middle where I want the blend to be. I will add a little bit more paint here just to make sure it's pretty liquid and easy to blend with. So we'll go ahead and just dot this area right here in the middle, and then we'll move over here shortly into blending it with the Gravelord Gray. And with this step, you'll want to work quickly. From the last step, you'll want the paint from the green to still be a little bit wet, and you'll want to just go ahead and match this to the middle here and slowly work in a little bit of a blend, bring some of that green up and the gray down. It's a little bit easier to pull the green upwards into the gray and then sort of blend it from there. So that's kind of the technique that I'm using here. I know it's a little bit hard to see in some of these shots here, especially underneath where his stomach would be. So you can kind of see it a little bit better in the back. It's blending a little bit more. We're trying to get like a faint green effect to sort of show off his real part of his body, I guess. And then once you're happy with your blend there, we'll go ahead and just use the regular Gravelord Gray and cover the rest of the body with this. And go about halfway down on the arms, and then we will go ahead and do the same technique with the blending on the hands and the arms. And with this step, you want to be careful that you're not pulling the green from the blend on the middle of the model. Just make sure that you have good control on your brush and you don't pick up any of that excess green that's used to blend there. And once that's semi-dry, we'll move it back over to our orc skin and just do a simple blend up on the hands here. This one doesn't have to be as perfect. We'll just do a slight blend, and if you get a little bit too much green or it kind of looks too dark, just go ahead and take a semi-damp brush and actually reactivate the speed paint, and that will make it a little bit lighter on your blend. And as you can see with that blend step that we did, we pretty much have finished about 90% of the model here. We just have some finer details to finish off. So we'll go ahead and switch over to Crusader Skin and Slaughter Red. And with this, we're going to just cover the tongue of the model. It's got a nice long tongue for us to go ahead and paint, and this will give us a good opportunity to add a little bit of extra color and contrast to the model. And if you get any of this color on the Gravelord Gray, just go ahead and try to wipe it away if it's still wet, or go ahead and just cover it up with some light gray or some white, and go ahead and cover it back up with the Gravelord Gray, and you should be good to go. I actually just went ahead and covered some of my mistake here with the Gravelord Gray, and it just kind of darkened down the mouth and the teeth a bit, which I actually liked. So there's different ways to solve the problems. It's really whatever you want to do and how you want your models to look. Once you've got that step finished, we're going to switch over to some finer details on the eyes, and for that we're going to use matte black. and we're going to fill in the entirety of the eye sockets here. And we'll go ahead and add a little bit of white to add some pupils in there a little bit later on. So the trick to this step is just bracing your hands together, getting a very fine tip to your brush, and taking your time using a couple thin coats to get nice even coverage on those eye sockets there. And moving on, we will go ahead and just add a little bit of detail into the eyes here. And for that, we're just going to use matte white. Just absolutely contrast the matte black here, and take a very thin point to our brush and just try to dot the center of the eye sockets as best as we can. You will want your paint thinned down for this, and you may want to try to dot this a couple of times to really get it where you want. I usually go between the matte black and the matte white, back and forth until I really get the look that I want from the model. And use the same advice that I gave for the matte black, using the matte black on the eye sockets. Just go ahead and, brace your hands, get a very, very fine point to your brush, and dot the eyes. See, I kind of do it a couple of times and then go back to the other eye and kind of balance them out. So it's really a balancing act of how you want your model to look. And for our final step, it's going to be add a layer of anti-shine matte varnish to the entire model. This stuff is very good for locking in your colors, adding a little bit of vibrancy to your colors, and adding a layer of protection to the model. They kind of seal in the paint, so it kind of protects it, and if you drop your models, it's not guaranteed to just chip off like it does if you don't use a varnish. So that's the point of this step. You will want to wait. I wait a whole 24 hours before varnishing models that I've speed painted, just because of the reactivation aspect of them. I really want to avoid that as much as I can, and that's also, that ingredient is the reason that they set so well and look so well when they dry. So you really want to give them that time to dry, and give them every opportunity to look as good as they can be. And thank you guys for watching another one of our videos. We really appreciate it. Please feel free to check out the top link in the description below for the giveaway attached to the video. Our giveaways are now going to end on the Sunday after the weeks that they air, so all the videos this week will end on the 19th. And as always, guys, happy wargaming.